Speaking of learning, say, servant leadership, there's so many tenets to this concept of servant leadership. I was studying prior to the interview. Which one do you find most valuable or important to the Coast Guard?
There are many tenets to it. I think probably the most important thing is understanding that you need to accomplish the mission. The mission and the people are more important than you. We've already discussed that a little bit, I think. The other thing that I would say is very important in terms of servant leadership is listening. It's interesting. People think because you're in a leadership position, because you've gotten to some level of authority and responsibility within an organization, and because you get out in front of people all the time, they think you must be an extrovert. People who really understand, and people who understand me, know that I'm really more of an introvert. I've never been entirely comfortable getting up in front of people, talking, and whatever else. I do it because that's my duty, and it's an obligation for me to do that. Talking, but I get the most out of that session by listening to the questions, because through questions, and in fact, what I do is, and let me divert just a little bit and tell you how I got here. It's because I was a ship captain for 10 years out of my career. So obviously I had to go out and speak to the crew often, and I started out by taking scripted notes out there and going out and talking to the crew, getting all my points across, and one day one of the warrant officers said, "You know, Captain, I've heard you in the wardroom. When you speak from your heart, you're much better than going from notes. So why don't you just look at the crew and tell them what's on your mind?" So I tried that, and what I learned immediately was that when you're talking to people and looking them in the eye, and that's why I very seldom use notes now, and why I'm more comfortable speaking extemporaneously than from a script, is because as you look people in the eye, it's a form of communication. When you read the nonverbals on the people, just like you're doing right now, you know, oh, I see, you're indicating, yeah, I understand, right. I get it, okay. Well, it's the same thing when you're talking to a crew. If you can get up and you can scan people, first of all, you establish a connection with people, which signifies I respect you. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you in the eye, and I'm talking to you. I respect you. Secondly, you can read the nonverbals. You can tell whether they're happy, whether they're proud, whether they're scared, whether they're tired, whether you're putting them to sleep, which is pretty important too when you speak. So that was the next evolution in communicating with crews. The most important part, though, was one day at the end, I said, "Okay, are there any questions?" You know, I got nothing. So I said, "Are there any questions, comments, gripes, opinions?" And nothing. But then one day, somebody asked a question, and you could see all the crew sort of kidding him, and everybody, look, this guy asked the captain a question. And but I took it slowly, respectfully, and responded to the question. And you could see at the end, people saying, "Huh, this guy's serious about this." So you build up a little bit of comfort and trust, and all of a sudden, as a leader, I started learning things I never would have known before, because people start opening up. And sometimes it's not so much the exact question, it's how they ask it, it's what's inside the question, which gives you signals about what might be concerning your crew. So it gets a little bit more difficult now, particularly when I'm talking to groups of 500 or 600 or 700 people, to gain that immediate comfort. But I still get return on investment when I listen and I get those questions and comments. So I would say that's a very important part. You know, some people will go in front of groups and it's all about them, it's all about what I'm doing and whatever else. It's much more important to ask them what's on your minds, what's bothering you, what's challenging you, how can I do my job better to help you.